Hello, I'm BXToyCat and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about textures which have changed when it comes to Minecraft. And this is a subject that came up because about a month ago I posted this image I found on my Twitter. So as you can see, it shows the evolution of the textures of the grass and the trees from alpha to beta to the current version we're all playing right now. And as you can see, even though a lot of people think that the game has stayed largely the same and it's, mostly the same since then, they changed the textures a lot, like underneath our eyes, and it's really cool to look at this stuff, not only because it's cool to see nostalgia from these previous updates stuff, but also to explain why they changed these textures, and also to then point out why some of the old textures are still in the game, to answer that eternal question of why are there rubies in the game, Toycat. So I figured I could talk about all of that in today's video. If you do like it, please do like it and let me know. It helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like seeing this sort of thing. And let's get straight into it, shall we? So let me just quickly clarify, both these alpha beta current images were actually made by a guy called Robot Thunder, and as you can see, here is a second one which shows how lava has progressed over time, from in the alpha texture where it's like this super still lava, then you've got the beta one, and here's the current one. And again, it proves that there are lots of subtle changes over time that just make the game look this tiny bit different. So I figured I'd explain why some of this stuff happens, because there's always going to be people that say, I like the old gravel texture better, I like the old lava texture better, and it's hard to kind of argue with what you think, but the reason they change textures is not just to annoy you out there who likes the old lava texture better, but it's actually to make a slight improvement in the game for the better. So if you look at the beta lava and you think, that looks way better than current, why'd they change it? The big reasons are, when it flows, beta didn't look good, and also if you look at that, the texture for it loops really easily, so there's those big red circle dots, and once you see those, they're hard to unsee, and the current texture just loops a lot better, so it's just a big pool of lava. It doesn't look like it's the same square being copied over and over again. It makes the game look a tiny bit more natural, and it's something easy to see. The same with when you look at the beta, there was just one color of grass everywhere, and you might argue that color of grass was better. I really like it because it's such a strong, vibrant green, but then you can say that they actually changed the biome coding so that each biome had its own kind of feel to it, and the beta, the beta grass is actually still used in the game for the jungle biome, or at least a very similar color to it is, and it's something you've got to consider. So yeah, that's the reason behind why these textures change. They don't do it just to annoy you, it's there for that. So let's just quickly show you off a couple of other cool old textures that you might be like, whoa, nostalgia. So these are from back in the day from Minecraft Xbox, the first version, and also they are, from the early days of Minecraft PC, of course, but basically here is the old cobblestone texture, and here is the old gravel texture. So yeah, the old gravel one, a lot of people say was worse, a lot of people say was better. It's funny, whenever there's this change, people always have this big vocal opinion one way or the other, but just in case you're like, oh, I think I'll look like that, because it's funny, they change them so subtly, and they change them kind of one by one, so you don't really even begin to think about how much has changed. But yeah, they have indeed changed the gravel and the cobblestone for better or worse. Again, if you want to have an opinion on each of these, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below, because it's hard to really talk about the subjective stuff, but to me, I really like the old cobblestone texture, even though I have the same looking problem, and I kind of like the old gravel texture, because I have such a hatred of gravel that I kind of apply it to the current texture. I probably hate that one as much, but I could do with them changing it every now and then, so I don't hate it so much. But yeah, let's just show off a few more of these textures for nostalgia's purpose before we move on to the important ones. So first of all, we have all the old item textures. So I believe this was just as they changed to the full version of the game, they changed a lot of textures like the meats and like the armor. So here are what the current textures look like in Minecraft, and here's what they used to look like before. As you can see, it's just subtle differences, but it's still kind of weird that just so much changes and you don't notice it because they're just so tiny, and it's kind of cool this way. But yeah, one more one is the old brick. It's changed so much over time, like very, very subtle changes, but way back in the day when it was first introduced to make the brick pyramid, it used to look like this. Very, very different to what you see today in Minecraft. Even if it's the same basic pattern, it's much deeper in the color. But yeah, that's how Minecraft seemed to used to be. Anyway, let's quickly just talk about some blocks that changed and then changed back before a full update of the game was released, because there's two interesting ones here. First of all, there is the beacon. This came out when they were introducing the beacon, they were going to use this, and they even used it as a few screenshots, and I really like this version of the beacon block. You can see the light comes out of it, and it looks pretty cool, and the block in general looks pretty nice. I guess maybe it looks like it requires diamonds or something, because that blue texture is actually pretty nice. And then there's also the infamous one, the ruby. So why is there a ruby in the game, you might be wondering? This is because when they were introducing the emeralds, they originally had them as rubies. I mean, it kind of makes sense because you got your diamonds, you got your gold. Ruby kind of fits in that whole color scheme, but the only problem with it is it looks a lot like redstone ore, and because Dinnerbone is partially colorblind, I believe, he could not tell the difference between redstone and the ruby texture. So because of this, they actually had to change the ruby in the end to the emerald. But what was really interesting here is they actually didn't just remove the ruby and change it into the emerald. They made the emerald an entirely separate item texture. So although it would be easy to say, oh, well, I guess the rubies are confirmed for some point in the future. What I imagine this means is the fact that they made it separate means that when they did this, they intended at some point they thought they'd have an idea for the rubies, and that could be something that entirely happens at some point. So the ruby texture, it is just an emerald one. Lots of people are always staring at the image files and saying, oh, Toy Cat, there's a ruby in there. It is just because for some reason they decided to make this a separate file to the emerald texture. However, just to, kind of the counterbalance for that, the quiver has been in the game since the very launch of it. It was from a previous game, so it's, it's a texture over 5 years old, and it was in the game for literally a month, and then it was removed again. So the quiver texture has been in there much longer, and I wouldn't put cross your fingers for seeing, the ruby in 1.9, but, if there is going to be a new ore, I bet the ruby will be at the top of that list. So yeah, that's what I have to say about all of the things I mentioned today. Hopefully you got your fix of nostalgia. If you did, please do like it and let me know. Otherwise, share it if you really liked it. It helps out the channel a lot. And also subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.